10 things I would tell my 30-year-old self about retiring on $500,000, which is what I retired on, a little more than that for those of you who haven't seen me before. First of all, where was I when I was 30 years old? I was a publicity assistant. Okay, I was so excited about working there. I had foregone much higher paying jobs in order to slum as far as salary goes in the music industry because I loved it. So basically, what was I doing at 30 years old? Drinking a lot, going to tons of concerts, and chasing women. Okay, yeah, it took me a while to grow up. Okay, it was like I was 21 again, basically. So, what would I tell my 30-year-old self about retiring in general and then retiring on $500,000? I've got 10 things I would tell them. First of all, guys, comments. Where were you at 30? Where were you in your journey, your retirement journey, or just life itself in your 30s? Leave us comments. I'm very curious on that. So, the first thing I would say, a lot of people don't understand this at that age, especially younger than that. Compounding is the gift that keeps on giving. Okay, those of you that are older, you understand that by now. But even if you had started saving at 22 and you're 30, compounding really hasn't had a chance to kick in yet, right? It hasn't had a chance to get turbocharged like it does after 10 years, 15 years, especially 20 plus years. Man, that compounding takes off. So number one, I would explain to myself what compounding was because I didn't start saving until I was 40. And how to just give it time and it's going to be the best friend you'll ever have. Number two, I would say you can do much better. You could have a lot more saved than $500,000 for retirement if you start at 30. Again, I didn't start till 40. Okay, that's why I ended up with right around $500,000. If you start at 30, kid, let me slap you awake there. If you just start putting a little money in now, you will be in such a better place than $500,000. Now, hey, $500,000 for retirement is nothing to sneeze at. Okay, that's a decent amount of money, what I call moderate income retirement. But if you start saving at 30 instead of start saving at 40, man, put down the beer. Okay, get home at like midnight instead of 2 a.m. All right, get up the next morning and start looking at investments. That's what I would say. Hey, for those of you who see me for the first time, my name is Duane, and this is a channel for retiring on moderate income. If that's something you'd like, think about subscribing and like the video as well. And if you really like it, down here are two other ways to support this channel. Number three, stay away from individual stocks until you are willing to put in the time and the effort to do a lot of research, to do due diligence on those stocks. When I first started saving at 40, I was investing in a lot of individual stocks. Man, do I regret that now. I lost thousands of dollars. Yes, I wasn't saving that much when I first started, but still, if I would have stayed away from that and put them into the right investments, index funds, target date funds, yeah, I would be doing a lot better. So guys, unless you are really willing to do the research on individual stocks, I don't care what age you are. If you're not willing to put in the time to really look into it, don't invest in individual stocks. Number four, when you first start investing, let's say I would have started when I first started at my music career job. What was it? I think July or August of that year that I was 30. Do not worry about your contribution percentage. Okay? You don't have to start saving 20% per paycheck. No, I mean, a lot of us when we're 30 years old, now me, I was kind of late to the whole thing. I didn't start my first real job till 30. A lot of people started 22, 23. Doesn't matter the age. If you're around that age, don't worry about your contribution percentage. Okay, just make sure you are matching the percentage needed to get your company match. That is where the company will put in free money, basically. If you've put in my case, it was 6%. I didn't start at that. I started at like 2 or 3% contribution number. It took me a while to get to 6%. Man, I can't tell you what a big difference that would have made to me at 30. If I had, number one, had started investing. Number two, had at least met the company match. So at first, don't worry about contribution percentage as long as you meet that company match. Number five, be disciplined when you are investing. When I first started at 40, or actually, I started a little earlier, but I don't really even mention it that much because I wasn't disciplined. I would, contribute like my 2 or 3%, one check, maybe two checks in a row, and then I would skip for 3 or 4 checks because I had something else I wanted to buy, a nicer place to live, higher rent, whatever it was. When you start, be disciplined, be consistent. Every single check, even if it's only 6%, even if it's only 3%, okay? Do not skip paychecks. Always contribute. Guys, you don't know. My 30-year-old self, yeah, the one that's running around at 3 a.m. every night, you don't know how important it is to be consistent. You'll see the results of that down the line. You won't see it in the next year or two, though. The next one, if you need to do this, I think it's perfectly fine. If you are trying to buy a home, say your first home, I was never a great saver. Outside of, eventually contributing to my retirement accounts, I was never a great saver outside of my retirement savings. If you need to borrow, use a 401k loan to put down money for your down payment for your first house, do it. I have never regretted that. That's exactly what I did. Now, you don't want to take just a lump sum out and not have it as a loan. You can pay that back over time. It may take you a couple years, 3, 4 years to repay that loan. Hopefully it won't take that long, but do it over time. Guys, it's easy because you're eventually paying yourself back. Now, what are you missing out on? You are missing out on having a bigger balance for compounding to work on in the time that you're paying back that loan. But at least you're paying back that loan. I think borrowing money for a down payment on a house is absolutely fine. I don't regret it at all. Number 7, a moderate income retirement, you 30-year-old Duane, is sufficient. But if you start saving at 30, shoot for the moon, baby. Shoot for the moon. If you start saving at 30 consistently, you'll probably be to 500,000 when you're mid to late 40s. If you don't have a humongous salary. Okay, I started at like $30,000 a year way back then. Okay, but man, if you reach $500,000, you started at 30, and let's say you're 48, 49, $500,000. Wow, keep going. Keep going. If you are consistent, when you start at 30, you should end up to close to $1 million when you retire, even if you retire early like I did on my 59th birthday. So don't just stop at 500. Yes, I'm fine where I am at 500, but would I like to have maybe double that? Sure. Don't stop. Don't put a limit on it. Shoot for the moon, baby. Number 8, take some of that money that you are spending on alcohol, on going out to clubs, God, what was it? When I was 30, man, because we had bands playing. We were a huge company. We had, as you can see behind me, lots of artists here that I represented. We were a humongous company. Any night of the week, you could go see one of our smaller bands, our indie bands that we're trying to promote, play at a venue in Los Angeles. Pretty much any night of the week. You could go for free. Okay, they would pay for your drinks, but what I always did, because I was a big drinker back then, instead of the two drinks they would give you for free, I would go to like 4 or 5. You know what? Take some of that drinking money and put it into your contribution percentage. That's what I would tell my 30-year-old self. Man, quit drinking so much and save more, okay? It adds up, believe me. Number 9, I did this when I was, I think, 40. I can't remember, 41. I went and saw a financial advisor on a one-time shot. It was for an hour. I learned a lot of stuff. I really did, about just basic investing. In my case, I found out that's all I needed. I've been on my own since. I don't have a financial advisor. I would tell my 30-year-old self, instead of waiting to 40 to do that at 30. Do that when you first started putting your contribution percentage. Take the time and get a fee-only fiduciary for an hour of their time. If you want to go 2 or 3 times, do it, especially if you're younger, 30 as opposed to 40 when I started. You're more immature, you don't know as much, right? So if you want to go 2 or 3 times, do it. If you want to hire a financial advisor to just, manage your money forever, guys, there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But if you feel you can do it yourself, that's fine as well. But I would tell my 30-year self, At least have one meeting. Hopefully maybe 2 or 3 because you're still kind of young. And number 10, I would tell my 30-year-old self, dummy, you should have started at 22. Can you imagine? I can't imagine where I would be if I had started investing at 22. Now at 22, I had a job. But even if you have a part-time job, when you're in, say, your early 20s and you haven't started your big career job yet, if I would have started investing then, I would have been so much bigger than $500,000 retirement. So my 30-year self, I would say you're 10 years late, man. You should have, or 8 years. You should have started at 22. So there you go, guys. That's what I would say to my 30-year-old wild self. There's a lot of things you could have done differently. Do I regret where I'm at? Absolutely not. I'm perfectly fine where I am, but I could have been a lot better. And as always, from the lovely high desert, we got this.